Okay, let's do some division. I'm looking at number 26. I think your assignment's number 25. Think about division. If I just look at this part right here, b to the fourth over b to the eighth, well, think about it like this. b to the fourth is 4 b's being multiplied. And b to the eighth is 8 b's being multiplied. So that's b to the fourth divided by b to the eighth. Now you guys remember how to cancel. These 4 b's canceled out. Now what do we have left over? Here's our fraction bar. It looks like I have 1, 2, 3, 4 b's left over on bottom. So I'm going to write that as b to the fourth on bottom. What's on top? Well, when these things cancel, they really turn into ones. You think they disappear, but they turn into ones. And 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 on top is just 1. So that's going to simplify to 1 over b to the fourth. Now, another way to get the same answer, just looking at b to the fourth over b to the eighth, is to subtract exponents. Okay, when you're dividing, I should put that, to divide, subtract exponents. So when you're dividing, let's put our answer, our fraction bar for our answer. When you're dividing, we're going to subtract the exponents. I'm going to start with the bigger one, 8. And I'm going to subtract the 4. And I'm going to go, okay, 8 minus 4 is 4. So I know the exponent on my b is going to be 4. I just don't know, do I put it on top or do I put it on bottom? Well, the answer is you put it where the most b's were, okay? b to the eighth was where all our b's were. We had 8 b's on the bottom. We only had 4 b's on top. So your answer is going to go where your biggest exponent was, where the most b's were, okay? So since b to the eighth was my biggest b, it goes on bottom. We put a 1 on top. So there's another way of getting it. Just subtract exponents and put your answer where the bigger number was, where the bigger exponent was. Okay, number 30 is a good problem that's going to help us put it all together. I think your assignment's number 29. Number 30 has a little more to it, so I really liked it. I want to work it. All right, the first thing I'm going to look at here is I see a group being multiplied by another group. Remember, parentheses, when 2 parentheses are together, it means multiplication. So I see 2 groups being multiplied. I also see that this first group has some extra work to it. We got to raise all that stuff to the third power first before we multiply. I don't know if you guys remember your order of operations. Okay? Order of operations says simplify everything in parentheses first. Well, as I look at the parentheses, it's just 2 times a cubed times b squared, not much I can do. And negative 4 times a fourth times b squared, nothing I can do there. So no parentheses I can do. Next you do exponents. All right? So I'm looking at the exponents, and on this first group I have an exponent inside, and I have that exponent outside. So we have to straighten out all the exponent business. Okay, so I'm looking at the exponents, and I remember that anything that doesn't have an exponent showing, we can assume has a 1 for an exponent. So I'm just going to copy this again, because I don't know how to erase the little red marks up there. Okay, so I put a 1 on the 2. I put a 1 exponent on the 2. Now remember, anytime you raise a number to a power and then to another power, you multiply those exponents. So 2 now has an exponent of 3 because 1 times 3 is 3. What about the a? The a had an exponent of 3 and it's being raised to the third power. You multiply those exponents, a now has an exponent of 9. The b has an exponent of 2. It's being raised to the third power as well. So b is being raised to the second power and then again raised to the third power. You multiply that out, you got b to the 6th. Okay? Now, I'm going to leave the parentheses off and just put a little dot there to show that we're still multiplying. And bring the rest down. Now, if this will make it more clear, I'm just going to put multiplication dots in between everything. We are just multiplying all those numbers together. Now, when you get to this point, after you've gotten rid of your parentheses, Remember PEMDAS. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, also called the order of operations. We did parentheses, we did exponents, and now we're going to multiply and divide. We don't have any division, so all we're doing is multiplying. I'm looking at what I can multiply. Oh, you know what? I wasn't done with the exponents yet. We have to straighten out this 2. 2 cubed is 2 times 2 times 2. It turns in to an 8. So you know what? I wasn't done with my exponents yet. Okay, now I'm done with my exponents. Now we move on to multiplication. I'm going to look at my numbers, my integers. I'm going to multiply them. Then I'm going to multiply my a's, and then I'm going to multiply my b's, and we'll have a final answer. So 8 times negative 4. Well, a positive times a negative gives us a negative answer. Your calculator will show you that. 8 times 4 is 32. Now I need to multiply my a's. Remember, when you're multiplying a's, you just add the exponents. It's not the same as what we did above here. We're not raising power to a power anymore. We've already done that. Now we're just multiplying an a times another a. So we have a to the 9th times a to the 4th. And if you're multiplying a's, you just add the exponents. So now we have a to the 13th. That makes sense because we had 9 a's being multiplied and 4 more a's being multiplied for a total of 13 a's being multiplied. Our b's, same thing. You add the exponent. You got b to the 8th. Okay, I'm on number 3. I'm just going to give you a little hint to get you started. If you see this whole group being raised to the second power, it's okay to raise the top to the second power and then raise the bottom to the second power. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the top, I'm going to give it its own parentheses, and I'm going to raise it to the second power, and then I'm going to take the bottom, give it its own parentheses, and raise it to the second power as well. So it's okay to split this exponent of the 2 outside the parentheses. It's okay to split and give 1 to the top and 1 to the bottom. Okay? Now, from this point on, I think you have enough information to solve that problem. Okay, here's kind of an interesting problem that puts it all together. It's number 38. It looks like number 37, kind of. There's lots of ways to attack this problem. My first instinct tells me to do power to a power first, okay? You could do what's inside the parentheses first if you want to. You can actually attack it either way. I like to get rid of this exponent outside first, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to raise everything inside to the negative 2 power. So let's start with the x on top. The x on top is being raised to the negative 3 power, and then again to the negative 2 power. So you multiply those, and you get a positive 6. The y on top is being raised to the negative 4 power, and then raised again to the negative 2 power. So you multiply those, and you get a positive 8. All right, the x on bottom is being raised to the negative 2 power, and then again to the negative 2 power, which makes it a positive 4. And the y on bottom is being raised to the first power. Remember, there's a 1 there if you don't see something. And then again to the negative 2 power, multiply those, and get a negative 2. Where do we go from here? Well, you always want to keep simplifying until you have one x and one y, whether they're on top or bottom. Something that's jumping out at me right now is I have a negative exponent. Remember, we said that means it's on the wrong side of the fraction bar. So I'm going to move it up to the top. So I have my x to the 6th is up there already. My y to the 8th is up there already. And I'm going to move the y squared up to join them. On bottom, I still have x to the 4th. Okay, let's do a little more work. If we look at these x's, that's a division problem. When you're dividing x's, you just subtract the exponents. So my answer is going to be x squared, because 6 minus 4 is 2. But where does it go? Does it go on top or bottom? It goes where the bigger number was. Since your x's, most of your x's were on top, your answer's going to go on top. So x squared. Now look at your y's. We have y to the 8th times y squared. When you're multiplying y's, you add the exponents. So I have y to the 10th. All right? We have nothing left on bottom, but actually there's a 1 down there. And for our final answer, we just write x squared y to the 10th, because anything over 1 is just itself.